These numbers on the right are bogus numbers. This is not real reserve. This is heavy oil, like the Canadian heavy oil. This is not an oil that you dig a ground and it comes out. It's that you have to manufacture it. And since nobody invests in it, the reserves have no value and no meaning.
And you don't buy this number that they bumped up to 296. This is a fallacy.
No, all of these things, actually, there are heavy oil reserves, but this is not an oil that you can produce. It's an oil that you can manufacture. So even if it's a 600 or 700 billion, it has no meaning. The real number, actually, that number is also a bit too high, 77. The real numbers are probably 40, 50 billion barrels.
Something to produce.
This is real oil.
I want to bring up another chart here. He did get the benefit, though, if you look back at his legacy. Came into power in 1999. Oil averaged West Texas Intermediate, $19 a barrel there. And I call it the wave, but he could just ride this wave for almost 10 years, peaking out when we had that record average oil in 2008 of $100 a barrel, and we're up near there today. The real question, when somebody comes in to replace him right now, can they maintain that sucking the money out of PDVSA and not putting the money back into the state oil company, or is it going to crumble? We saw this huge fire and explosion back in August with 40 deaths.
Yes, you know, Venezuelan oil industry is in shambles. I mean, really shambles. When Chavez became president, he fired 12,000 people of PDVSA. Some of the best people in the business, he just fired. And to today, he has not been able to replace them. Really, the oil industry is suffering very much. Everything has been done by bringing a lot of foreign workers from friendly countries like Ecuador or like Cuba, which cannot be the same as the international technology which has been denied to the industry. So actually, the downward trend is there. The oil industry in Venezuela, the refineries run at 50% capacity. Is a disaster, frankly.
Okay, I wanted to, in fact, look at the production then, Faradin, where we are today and where we were when Chavez came into power shortly thereafter. 2001, two years after power, production of 3.1 million barrels a day. That was the peak for Venezuela. This is 2011, and some suggest that we're about 2.5 million barrels a day now. Very interesting analysis. You're an Iranian. These partners on the world stage, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad and Hugo Chavez, have one thing in common when it comes to oil, and that's a lack of foreign investment into the country.
Yes, indeed. There is actually some in Venezuela. Chevron still is a big player in Venezuela. But there is none in Iran. We need to keep in mind that this 2.7 million barrels per day is an official number. Venezuela is the only country in the world which exaggerates production because they want people to know that I'm producing more. But that 3.1 would have gone to 5 or 6 if Chavez had not come into power. So
5 or 6?
5 or 6. The plan was between 5 to 6 million barrels per day right before the fall of the previous government.